Good afternoon, respected sir, and good afternoon to my fellow scholars. First of all, I would like to tender my humble apologies for not being able to uh, discharge my duty towards the department for quite a pretty long time, I should say, because of some personal problems. But then I saw this program of progress report presentation to be held on February 30th, that is today. So I requested our Sir Gambir, our respected guide, to include my name in today's program, in today's presentation program, so that I don't remain out of the scene, or I should say, like, doing PhD is more of a voluntary action. It cannot be imposed, it cannot be forced. It has to come out from within ourselves. So that's why I volunteer myself that I should present. Though I have got a little amount of days, like only 2 or 3 days, to prepare my presentation. However, I should say that I have done something good in the past, I should say. Like, I have read some books, I have attended some webinars, and from that experience, I'm able to prepare this progress report. And today, I'll be talking about questionnaires. And questionnaires, we will see the meaning of data, methods of data collection, questionnaire, meaning and purpose, questionnaire sample. Our field, we call it ELT, English language teacher. So, in other words, we sometimes we find applied linguistics or something like that. It is more or less a science subject, and that's why data is very important. While doing research in literature, we may not have that technical or the practical aspect of data, but in our case, in the ELT department or in the ELT field, we need to know more in-depth knowledge about this data. And that's why I just chose this topic. And the title of, I think I have not given my title of the research. The title of my research is An Empirical Study on the Speaking Proficiency Among the PG Students of Manipur. So as to find the status, so as to find the position of students speaking proficiency, we need data. Yesterday I discussed Madam Diana, assistant professor who's working in the department, about questionnaires. She has given me valuable inputs, and she told me that I have to be clear about the objectives of the research so as to procure data or to prepare questionnaire. But since I didn't get much time, I have just come up with these basic things about the meaning and the purpose of questionnaire. Several prominent authors have written a lot about developing a questionnaire, asking questions, and surveys, etc. So today I would be going a little brief highlight, I should say. So going forward, we need to know the Meaning of data. Data implies the information in basic or unprocessed form. Sorry. It can be facts, details, or statistics gathered by the researcher or any other person for the purpose of reference, reasoning, and analysis. When we, like two of my fellow scholars who have presented, they have mentioned about the books or the articles they read. So why they are reading all those things? So as to procure data. They need to collect data. That is meant. So data, we need data for reference. Supposing Mr. Amit wants to say something on the computer assisted language learning, so he is doing a research. That means somebody has done it nearer to that area, and he has to go by that, and he has to establish newer facts, and that's why we are going to be awarded PhD. So we need data for reference. Or else, supposing we wish to establish something by doing an experiment, that also we need data. Supposing we wish to establish a new fact, new thing, that way also we need data to prove that the fact is established. So I just would like to highlight the importance of the meaning of data. Now, how data is important, I have just discussed it. Now we are coming to data collection. How data collection is carried out, or how data collection is done. And what is it? Actually, data collection is a process of acquiring information. And we are going to acquire the information from different sources. From people, from institution, or from anything. And that should be relevant to the topic that I'm undergoing a research. And that's why data is necessary for a researcher, and it has to be, data collection is to be performed by the researcher. So while collecting data, we will come across broadly two things, two kinds of data. One is primary data and the other is secondary data. And today's my topic is questions. It is questionnaire. It belongs to the primary data. So primary data definition, we need to know. What is primary data? What is basically primary data? Primary data is an original data, is a first-hand information. So that means when we develop or when we design a questionnaire, we are going to collect an original data. We are going to collect the first-hand information. So that is primary data. So we have different tools, or we have different instruments to collect primary data. They are survey, questionnaire, experiment, direct interview, observation, telephonic interview. So these are the ways how we can collect our primary data. And the secondary data. Secondary data, we can say secondary, we have second. So from that, second-hand data, like the way with the second-hand clothes. So it's a second-hand data. Data has already been established or has already been collected by someone else, and we are going to use it. And that is called secondary data. And secondary data is present in the form of newspaper, websites, or government publications, records, or books. It's available in that format. Now, it's just a summary of the distinction between primary data and secondary data. Primary data is the information obtained for the first time by the researcher, and it's original. Whereas secondary data has already been an existing information, and it is second-hand data. So it's just a summary. Now, when we want to collect data, we need methods to collect data. And while discussing methods, we need to know what type of method we need to employ, or what type of research is it, what type of research it is which we are going to undergo. So that we need to know, like, is it a quantitative research or is it a qualitative research? So there has been a little confusion, like about questionnaire. Is it really a quantitative method or is it a qualitative method? That we will discuss later on. We just need to know that quantitative method employs numerical data. We need numerical data in quantitative method. Like census, we need to count the number of females, number of males, those things, quantitative data. Qualitative, it's non-numerical. It's non-numerical. Like some kind of open-ended questions. When we say when we ask students, like, tell us something about yourself, they are going to give an open-ended answer. Like, they are not bound to answer a specific or a particular answer. So that way we just can understand that qualitative is always non-numerical. It's not related to figures. It's just a brief summary about the distinction between quantitative method and a qualitative method. Some of the examples: questionnaire, schedule, and qualitative method, we have observations, interviews, case study method.
You need to hurry up.
Okay, sir. The meaning of questionnaire is a set of printed or written questions for the purpose of surveys or statistical studies. It is a research instrument for the purpose of gathering information from the respondents. And in this part, I have mentioned that it is a type of quantitative technique of data collection. But questionnaires are not necessarily quantitative techniques. It can deal with qualitative aspect as well. Okay, that we can discuss later on. And the purpose of the using questionnaire in our data collection is to collect information from the respondents scattered in a vast area in a very short span of time. It's cost effective, it's less time consuming. That's it. Another thing is to achieve success in collecting reliable and dependable data. Like, we have factual data. By factual data we mean the name, age, which cannot be changed or which cannot be altered. So that kind of data. So that's why we say to achieve success in collecting reliable and dependable data. So these are few aspects of questionnaire. Actually, since I don't have much time, I have developed a sample questionnaire. Like, I have divided it into 5 sections. Section A, B, C, D, E. Like student's profile, asking about the factual data, name, age, gender, name of the institution. These cannot be changed. These are facts. So section A, and section B, learning objectives and attitudes. Like this is behavioral data, like how they are reacting to the education or to the teaching given to them, provided to them. So that way, then we have classroom data. So this also we can say qualitative aspect. Then we have textbook teaching material. Actually, this is a very vague sample and it needs lots of improvement. Though I have circulated among few students just for pilot survey. And I have discovered that this 25, question number 25, does the year-end exam test your speaking skills? Everybody says no. PG students I'm talking about. So this much. Thank you.
Okay, now Yaiphaba's presentation is open for discussion. Let there be thread-clear discussion. This is an important aspect of all the PhD scholars in India. Yes? Anybody?
Before raising any questions or any issues regarding my presentation, can I say something about the discussions? Can I add some inputs? Or
You can.
Yes, sir. Like one question raised by Udit Raj to Paveni about the use of local language inhibiting the growth of using foreign language. So he asked one question. You have given a good answer. I'm not saying that mine is going to be better or something like that. I'm just trying to share something which you have mentioned about the book, the second book, Jack Richards and Rogers' book, approaches and all those things. So there used to be one method called Army method, okay, which we call it audiolingual method. In this method, we train the students in a way that they simply pronounce the word given to them. And this is more or less related to the question raised by one gentleman, I'm not, Lal. Yeah. Like accent problem. Accent problem. You raised the problem, accent problem. Accent problem, since Mr. Amit has clearly stated that there will be accents, but we call it neutralization of accent. Supposing if we are going to Delhi and we plan to work in a call center, definitely they will check our MTI, which Amit has mentioned about mother tongue influence. This is less among the females in the northeastern part of India. This is very less. And why you said that, why we are having much MTI among ourselves? It is because of less exposure to that audiolingual method, I should say. And it is mentioned in that book. But that method is becoming outdated. That method is becoming outdated because English language teaching is evolving. It is developing. Because by employing that method alone doesn't make a good speaker. Okay. So that's why they have developed a new method called CLT. CLT, Communicative Language Teaching Method. And according to that method, Communicative Language Teaching Method, we need to know more about the pronunciation as well as the semantic aspect, the meaningfulness. Okay. So far we have been learning only the meaning part. Then when audiolingual method comes, we tend to learn pronunciation part. And on one way we are missing the other. So that's why we have been missing. So during our nursery days, our teacher used to bring a tape recorder. Okay, we call it tape recorder in those days. So bring a tape recorder, and he would play the way how the Native Americans or the Native English people speak, the recorded audio. So from that, we are able to identify, we are able to distinguish the difference, like where we are lagging or where we are finding difficult. And some sounds we cannot utter, like see ng, ngari. Ngari, this nasal sound, it may not be pronounced by other. So that is the thing. So summing up, I should say that we call it neutralization. So we should emphasize on neutralizing the accent. Then only we will be able to. Anyway, thank you, sir.
No, if
Yeah,
there are
coming.
queries, yes, but if you have any queries,
So what are since I'm very new to this field, I just started, I haven't even done my coursework. So I would like to know, it's a humble request to hear some suggestion from you that what are few steps while a few ideas in developing an effective questionnaire.
Effective questionnaires.
Yeah.
So
Questionnaires which wouldn't put the respondent off in some questionnaire may be poorly worded, or it might divert the respondent. So in developing an effective questionnaire, what some ideas?
yeah, you are asking about developing a question.
Yes.
For that purpose, we need to focus more on the objectives of the research, like the target audience. Okay, like what we are going to seek from the respondents. Like if we wish to seek some information regarding their listening skills, then we have to design in a way that the questions are set on the line of listening skills. If we digress it, then they will not be interested to answer in that part. So that's why while framing questionnaire in Google form, I'm not sure whether all of you are aware of that Google form or not, but there is a tool, Google form, whereby we can prepare questions and circulate it among the masses, and they will reply it in the online format. Okay. So like in that format also we have some options. Like supposing there are 5 questions and one without completing the first question, without answering the first question, one cannot move to second question. In that way also we can make the respondents reply all the compulsory questions. That is one thing. But for your question, you wish to know the design of questionnaire. But the design of questionnaire is largely dependent upon the objective of the research. So that is one.
okay. Any other queries? Lal or Gonmai? Yes.
Just a query.
Yeah.
How much is too much questionnaires?
That depends, like
Or too
yeah.
less questions?
Yeah, the too less, there is no question of too less or too much, but we have to design in a way that our research objectives are met, our research objectives are achieved. Okay, that's the thing. So like we have I have read few books on this developing questionnaires, like Bill Gilham, so developing questionnaires. So he has mentioned that we can include number of pages in a questionnaire, but that should meet the desired objective of the research. And respondents, I don't know how many respondents are going to write that questionnaire, I mean answer that questionnaire. But then there are no hard and fast rules that the question should be limited to this number or to this figure only. That is the thing. Thank you.
If a respondent, sorry, if a respondent or like a number of respondents doesn't answer the question, it will
Yeah.
hamper the research data?
Yeah, there lies the validity and this accuracy of the data. the authenticity of the data. Because in my questionnaire, some of the students have left some questions, and I don't make it compulsory, because if I make it compulsory, then they will never come to the next question. So that way I make it open, and they left it, and some have answered it double times. So that way we will find some technical hiccups or technical problems among the students or the respondents. For that purpose,
this we need to discuss further.
Yes.
Because in your coursework was designed in such a way that it meets the target of all the students, not specific to EL. Right? That is why you are asking this question. Very relevant.
Yes.
Okay? Because, that's why from this time you remember, while I was addressing you, Madharakan did not, highlight those aspects. I said, no, there are now two, sections, A and B in paper 2. So this time you'll see, and if required, I don't mind bringing one of you, your previous students, previous scholars, maybe assigned to take up one or two sessions, right? Not in the common, okay? Only separate for ELT paper, so that all of us will be.